The ownership dynamics in our marriage are causing strain. If the concept of what the wife purchases automatically becomes the husband's property is unacceptable, then perhaps we should consider divorce. My husband Liam has been attempting to acquire my possessions for unjustifiable reasons in an effort to enhance his image. He even goes as far as giving items I purchased from my parents to his own parents. Before marrying Liam, my grandparents bestowed upon me a valuable gift, real estate. When expressing gratitude and revealing my intention to utilize it for our future, my grandparents wisely advised me to keep it a secret, emphasizing the importance of maintaining confidentiality regarding my passive income and financial sufficiency. Respecting my grandparents' counsel, I refrained from disclosing this information to Liam. However, an incident unfolded. Upon reviewing the account designated for our living expenses, I discovered a withdrawal of $40,000. This account, primarily managed by me, aimed to cover the household expenses brought in by Liam. Having no recollection of withdrawing such a substantial sum, it became evident that Liam was the one responsible. I promptly confronted him, expressing my concern about the missing funds. "Hey, $40,000 is missing from our living expenses account. Do you have any knowledge of what happened to the money?" I inquired casually. Liam admitted, "Yeah, I lent it to my mom. She was facing some trouble." His nonchalant response left me unsettled, especially since he hadn't informed me beforehand. Liam brushed it off, claiming it was his earned money. "We have some savings, so the amount won't be a significant issue." While assisting Sophia in her time of need is understandable, a simple heads up to me would have been appreciated. After all, the account is shared between us. If it were his individual account from his single days, that would be a different matter. However, withdrawing a substantial sum from our joint account without any communication seemed a bit excessive. Upon expressing my frustration with Liam's actions, he responded with a displeased frown and reluctantly uttered, "Okay, I'll inform you next time," dismissing it with an annoyed tone. He swiftly retreated to the bathroom, leaving me unsettled by the encounter. The incident left me feeling uneasy. Liam's behavior was a far cry from the attentive and considerate husband he used to be when we first got married. Is this the transformation that occurs in a marital relationship? A few days later, circumstances compelled me to visit my parents-in-law's house to deliver a package mistakenly sent to our address. Despite my initial intention to leave it at the entrance, my parents-in-law insisted I come inside. Reluctantly, I joined them in the living room for tea. During my visit, I couldn't help but notice an array of luxurious items: cosmetics, glamorous clothes, and health products. My parents-in-law proudly attributed these gifts to their wonderful son. The bank account had a balance of $40,000, so it seemed reasonable to spend it in an apparent manner. However, my feelings shifted when I learned that Liam had lent the money to Sophia, and it was all used for her extravagant products. As I sipped my tea devoid of any smiles, my in-laws, who had been cheerful until then, wore frightened expressions, almost as if they were issuing a veiled threat. In an attempt to emphasize their son's virtues, they questioned me with a tone of accusation. "My son is such a nice, wonderful boy who gets gifts for me. But what about you? As his wife, are you serving my wonderful son well? There's something fishy going on. I heard he said that he gets blamed a lot from you for taking out the money to spend for me." It became apparent that Liam had portrayed himself as a victim to my parents-in-law, explaining the fearful looks they directed at me. Fatigue set in, fueled by the mistreatment from both my in-laws and husband. This unexpected neglect prompted thoughts of divorce. Contemplating the idea, I envisioned returning to my parents' house and using the savings to rebuild their home with the passive income I had accumulated. I envisioned a positive change for my parents' living situation. Their current residence is a 3-story house constructed over 29 years ago, predating my brother's birth. Initially housing a family of 5, the home became empty after my brother and I moved out. Despite the installation of handrails to aid my parents, The sprawling nature of the house proved challenging for them, especially given their limited mobility. Recognizing that a more comfortable one-story house would better suit my parents' needs, I promptly called them to discuss my plan to get a divorce and rebuild their home. Surprisingly, my parents were not shocked by the news of the divorce. Instead, they were elated at the prospect of having their home reconstructed. Excitedly, I shared more details with them over the phone. "We're thrilled that you're planning to rebuild it for us." "Thank you. Even if we won't be living there for long, it's not a problem as you can take over the house. Given that it was built with your income," my parents expressed their gratitude. Encouraged by their support, I assured them that I would start preparing and planning the project. Gradually, they advised me to take it easy and not overexert myself in the process. My parents' comforting words managed to alleviate my depression, and I eagerly embarked on the project to rebuild their house. However, my anticipation was interrupted when Liam unexpectedly confronted me, expressing his discontent. "How dare you use our savings to build a house without informing me?" Liam's anger erupted as we sat across from each other at the living room table. He pounded his fist on the table while shouting, displaying little regard for my feelings. Insisting that the new house was intended for my parents, I faced vehement objection from Liam. He argued that since it was constructed with our joint funds, his parents had a right to reside in it, dismissing the practicality of accommodating 4 people in a small one-story house. He demanded I hand over the property. Amidst his loud protests, I realized that not disclosing my passive income would only fuel his anger further. Deciding to reveal the truth, I confessed, "To be honest, I have passive income I've been saving from the real estate gifted to me by my grandparents. The construction expenses are covered by this income, and I haven't taken a penny from our shared property." As guilt over breaking a promise with my grandparents weighed on me, Liam, now aware of my financial situation, intensified his fury. Accusing me of being a deceitful wife for hiding my income and manipulating our finances, he continued to vehemently pound the table. Keeping my passive income a secret proved to be a wise decision as I witnessed Liam's face reddening with anger. Rising from my seat, I couldn't help but recall my grandparents' advice to maintain this financial information confidential. Perhaps they had already sensed Liam's true nature. Liam, adamant and angry, declared his intention to claim the house as alimony, asserting his authority as the head of the family. Threatening divorce if I disobeyed his insistence left me feeling nothing but dismay and frustration. I questioned how I could have lived with such a man without truly knowing him. Originally, I had planned to use the passive income when Liam's earnings were no longer sufficient. The savings were meant to serve as a financial safety net in case of injury or illness. However, disillusioned by Liam's behavior, I no longer wished to spend that money on him. In response to his demands, I decided to leave the house, seeking refuge in a business hotel to cool off. Upon my return the next morning, Liam greeted me with a disdainful smile, holding out divorce papers he had already filled out. Accusing me of lying about my passive income, he insisted that I fabricated the information to hide the fact that I was taking money from our shared assets. Despite sincerely telling him the truth, Liam remained steadfast in his unfounded accusations. Frustrated and unable to comprehend his perspective, I reiterated, "It's the truth. I have passive income." Liam, however, dismissed my statement with disbelief, perpetuating his baseless arguments with a dismissive snicker. Liam handed me the divorce papers, remarking, "You'll let me know when we can move in, okay? I'm going to go out for a drink." Patting me on the shoulders, he walked out in a seemingly cheerful mood, revealing his true character. It became clear that Liam hadn't changed. He had merely concealed his disdain for me since the beginning of our marriage. He had consistently disregarded my feelings, realizing the extent of his true nature. I promptly packed my belongings, completed the divorce papers, and left home, opting to temporarily move in with my parents. I explained the situation to them, and we agreed to stay together until the new house was finished. The following day, my phone buzzed incessantly with Liam's calls, revealing his impatience. Despite being the one to initiate the divorce, he seemed perturbed by my departure. Responding to his call, I answered with the hope that it would be our final conversation. "Hello?" I greeted cautiously. "Hey, all your stuff is gone, you know?" Liam stated impatiently, leaving me puzzled. He who had initiated the divorce now seemed panicked by my departure. Confused, I reiterated that we were getting a divorce, and it was natural for me to leave. Unfazed, Liam continued, "I won't ever come back, so please use the empty spaces as you please." Wondering if he sensed something in my tone, I maintained my stance. After a few moments of silence, Liam's tone shifted dramatically. Hey, can you let my parents live in the new house?" "I don't care if I have to live with your parents, please," he pleaded, a sweetness in his voice that I had never heard before. "I already told you it's a modest one-story house. Please, I wanted to surprise my parents with a home." My husband's words left me dumbfounded. The audacity of giving them a house he didn't even purchase and labeling it as a surprise struck me as reckless. His apparent disregard for the savings and the effort I put into managing our finances weighed heavily on my frustration. I have been meticulously planning the money allocated for his allowance and our living expenses, striving to make ends meet. Yet his actions seemed disconnected from the financial reality. "You seem to be careless with money, leaving all the hassle to others, and now you present the house to your parents as if you orchestrated everything independently. In reality, all of this has been meticulously prepared by me for my parents." I expressed my exasperation as my husband fell silent. It felt superficial for him to take credit for planning everything himself and gifting the house to his parents. It became evident that he was attempting to exploit my genuine intentions and claim ownership of the property. I refused to surrender the house, which I had wholeheartedly built for my parents, to be used as a showpiece for his family. Rejecting Liam's proposal decisively, he reacted with heightened agitation. In his desperation, he argued that as husband and wife, we were supposed to help each other, proposing that I inform his parents about my role in building the house. "We're not a married couple anymore. I've already filed for divorce on the very day you handed me the divorce papers," I asserted, refusing to succumb to his attempts to manipulate the situation. I had already submitted the divorce papers to the city office. Responding to his strong desire for a divorce, in light of his eagerness to part ways, I felt it was in his best interest for me to expedite the process. Simultaneously, I was in the midst of updating all the paperwork to reflect my status before marriage. Upon learning that the divorce papers had been filed, my ex-husband expressed disbelief, attempting to backtrack on his decision. He suggested starting over and reconciling, claiming he never expected me to actually leave. Given his past actions, which included depleting our savings for his mother, threatening me with a divorce, and mocking me, I found his proposal ridiculous. There was no way I could envision rekindling the relationship with someone who had treated me in such a manner. Politely declining his proposition, I firmly asserted my decision to move forward. "No, thank you. Please give my regards to your parents," I said cheerfully as I hung up his call. Despite my clear stance, the next day brought a barrage of voicemails and messages from Liam, urging us to get back together. Recognizing his potential ulterior motives, I promptly blocked all contact information related to him and his parents. Meanwhile, the house reconstruction progressed, and my parents and I comfortably. In a chance encounter with a mutual friend who knew Liam, I candidly explained that we were divorced. My friend offered me words of sympathy and shared a similar experience involving his family. Initially, my ex-husband abruptly submitted a resignation letter to his workplace, claiming that he no longer needed to work diligently due to acquiring real estate. Oddly, the company found it impossible to contact him. However, the following day, he seemingly retracted his resignation. His bosses reprimanded him for vanishing without notice and leaving only a resignation letter, causing disruptions for his colleagues. When questioned about his sudden departure, Liam struggled to concoct a believable explanation, attempting to conceal the fact that he relied on his wife's income. Eventually, the company uncovered the true reason for his divorce from me, leading to his unsuccessful attempt at being rehired. Interestingly, Liam, who had mocked my passive income as likely untrue, was ironically attempting to capitalize on my earnings. His focus on showcasing wealth to his parents and giving them a house as a present revealed a lack of consideration for me and our shared future. Reflecting on these actions, any lingering feelings I had for my ex-husband dissipated, and I felt a sense of relief. I learned that my ex-husband had returned to his parents' home, presumably facing scrutiny from them. Currently, he is struggling to secure a new job due to the circumstances surrounding his departure from the previous one. All I can say is that he reaped what he sowed. As for me, I reside in a home I constructed with my own efforts, living with my parents. I have a job that brings me joy and fulfillment, and overall, I am content with my life. While I had initially saved my passive income for Liam and our shared future, I have decided to redirect it towards supporting those who have consistently stood by me and offered their support.